Hello and welcome to the second video on Desmos. The last one that we did, we talked about how to use the activities to teach geometry. And today in this video, we're going to actually talk about the geometry tools. And if you'll remember, I showed you earlier where those were at, but I'm just going to click on them down here at the bottom. Now, you can use these geometry tools in several different ways. I think they would work really well in an inquiry lab where you had them drawing different things. So I have attached several different labs, inquiry labs that I normally would do in class, maybe with a pencil and paper. And here we're going to just do them on the computer. And if you're according to what your school is doing, or if you go remote, you might really enjoy that more than the hands-on, but you might like it just in the classroom also. So let's just get started. I'm going to show you some of the tools that are here. So obviously the point, you can put points on your screen and have them draw them wherever they want. You could talk about collinear points versus non-collinear points. Polygons, when you draw a polygon, the key here is when you draw on that, be sure you do reconnect. Okay, let me show you that again. So 1, 2, 3, I want to keep going, 4, 5, and then I go back to my original, and there's my connection, and then it'll pop it up as bright colors, and now you've got the entire. Okay, now while I've got this up here, I'll show you this next one here. You can do this one without drawing the polygon and just have it this way. I don't know that there's much necessarily use for it that way, so what I like is if I'm going to come over here and I click on the side, on your raise, what would be this way, and there is my angles. Okay, and so again, I could come here and here and here and look at my angles. And so you could talk about the angles of a triangle. You could look at the sum of the angles being 360. You could go on over to your polygon over here and have them do an inquiry, do one with 3 sides, one with 4 sides, and so forth, and do your sum of your interior angles. You could really easily, let's say I have this one, like I said, we've talked about the sum of the interior angles. Then if you wanted to, you could do an extension, okay, and I back it up so I get it to go through there correctly, and then come back in and talk about your remote interior angles, your exterior angles. You could talk about, continue to do that. And like I said, I back up because I'm the world's worst about trying to start here and go out and make backups, so that I do make sure, same as what you were doing if you were doing it in class. Okay, again, those 3 points in there is my angle. So we could talk about supplementary angles. We could talk about, you could continue on. Let's just keep going here on this one. If I wanted to, again, do my angles here. Okay, so we've got, just by doing this, we've got several different things. And like I said, one of the things you can do is just have kids draw and play. They'll get better at it than you. So you've got where you can talk about the sum of the interior angles. You could, and one of the things that I like doing is have everybody draw their own triangle, and then maybe on the board, and we could draw and put on there, you know, okay, column A, B, C, it doesn't matter which one we do. And then put on the board, you know, A is 50, B is 66, C is 64. Okay, let's take the whole class, let's make us a chart on the board. What do we notice about that? The same way, now we could say, okay, now let's take our exterior angle. Again, it doesn't matter necessarily which one, but you could put labels on there. With the remote exterior angle theorem, and hopefully that they see that these 2 equals this one. Then you could go through and you could say, okay, now let's look at our our exterior angles and what's the sum of our exterior angles. And we could do that for a triangle, and then we could take it and we could build it to a square. We could do a pentagon, a hexagon, and you can just build it bigger and bigger and make it an inquiry lab. Instead of you telling them what the rules say, have them come up with the concepts. Again, I love inquiry labs. This would be a lab that I would normally do, paper, pencil, have them draw it out and so forth. But I think using this Desmos app is awesome. And so if they get a lot on their screen and you want to get rid of it, you can do just like what we do other things, highlight the whole thing and back up, and you can get rid of it. So let's go on over here. We have our segment. Okay, there's your segment. We can use that. Okay, we have the line tool. Okay, so now we can talk about lines. You've got your ray, and again, it kind of gets kind of carried away there. You've got your vectors, especially let's say if you are doing, maybe you're even in physics and you want to talk about vectors and vector addition. If you want to, you could even maybe extend this into algebra and talking about positive and negative numbers. And I think double click on it to get your colors. I was going to say, I knew there was a way to change your colors. I always forget those. So there's my purple, there's orange. So if you wanted to color code things, that would be a thing. Okay. So let's go back and get rid of those. So that's just looking at to me, some of the. Okay, so we can draw as a segment, and then we can click on the midpoint. That allows us to put our cursor on here and immediately get a midpoint. The other thing that we can do is we can put our cursor on the segment double click, and you can do a add label, add the length to it. Okay, and so you could talk about what's the length of your segment. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, on other, let's see, let's go on here. I'm going to draw me another segment here. And then I'm going to go to Tools, and I want parallel lines. So it says choose a slope, choose a line to set the slope. So here's my line. And there's my parallel line. Perpendicular line says choose a line to set this, okay, and then it automatically makes it perpendicular. Okay, so I'm going to construct a triangle. Again, don't forget you want to come back to the original. Okay, now I'm going to go to my transforms, okay, and we're going to look at reflections, okay. So the first thing it says is choose a line of reflection. So I'm going to go back to my construct because I didn't do that. So here's me a line. So I'm going to draw my line. Okay, transform. Again, my transform is a reflection. Choose my line of reflection. That's it. Then it says select my object. Okay, and reflect it. Okay. Now, what if we want to do that again? Let's see if we can do. So I'm going to, here's my line. So I'm going to go back to my transforms, my reflection. Take that one away. It doesn't seem to like it if I do. Okay, so I'm going to choose my line of reflection, choose my object, and apply. And now it's reflected. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so there is my quadrilateral. So let's go back to our transform And this time, let's look at rotation. We'll go ahead and do that, rotation. So it says choose point in the center. Okay. And then it says to select the object and apply it. Okay, rotate it at 90. Now, let's see, could we rotate that about its center? Oops, let me go back. Get rid of that. Okay, so now let's take and see if we can rotate it about this point. So it choose a point, choose the object, and apply. There, we rotated it around that point. So we rotated it around the center, we rotated around the point. Let's try something else. Okay, let's try a dilation. Okay, so again, it says choose a point in the center, select the object, and apply. We're going to do a scale factor of 2. There we go. Let's go back. Let's do the same thing now. Let's do a scale factor of 0.5. Okay, point, object, apply. Okay, and again, you know, you could have, let's talk about how we might teach this. You know, if you're talking about maybe just having them try different things. Okay, what happens if I put, you know, 1/3? You know, what's going to happen to that? Well, it doesn't like 1/3 in here. So let's do maybe 2.5, okay, and see what happens. Well, there you can see. Let's do 5. Ooh, look what happened. Let's do 0.2. Look what happened. And then they could come up with again, making it kind of an inquiry so that they come up with and say, okay, well, if your scale factor is bigger than 1, this is what happens. If your scale factor is between 0 and 1, this is what happens. Okay, let's go back to a transform. Let's see what else we want to do. So, okay, so let's construct us a triangle. Be sure to go back, because I always forget that. Transformation. Let's do rotation and dilation. So it says to choose a point in the center, choose a point from and to. So I want it from here, and I'm going to rotate it to here. Select some object, so we're going to do this, and apply. Okay? So we've moved it and we've dilated it at the same time. Okay, because this point now becomes this one, that one becomes that one. So if you think of that inside triangle as turned just a little bit, we just rotated it slightly. Okay, my time's about up for this one, but I just want to encourage you, just as I was doing, and not everything worked out perfect, let your kids play. Kind of start guiding them with the Desmos, ask them to try different things, let them play and let them come up. Probably before I ever started my first lesson, I would probably have, according to what whether you're on a block or a short day, but I would just let the kids play for a while. Take each of those different things and talk to them about reading instructions and seeing what all it does. There's a lot more that this is going to do. I still have another video I'll make for you, but this is just an introduction to your basic construction tools and your transformation tools. And again, just wanting to introduce you, but the key I can't emphasize over and over again is let the kids play. Let the kids get comfortable with it, because that's where the inquiry comes in.